Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
January. He's got a pretty good story. He's got a pretty awesome product, pretty great service. Here's what I want to do. I kind of want to do a little rewind. Michael, I do not want to go all the way back to the womb. We know your mom would be annoyed about that. But I kind of want to understand how this became your gig.
It was not with any sort of intent. I'll say that much. I started just working in B2B software, some of the most boring things that you could actually do. Selling software, selling survey software. When you get off a plane, you receive a survey. That's kind of what we were doing. And I was lucky enough to be part of a really great company called Qualtrics, based out of Utah. And before that, I'm originally from the East Coast, from Baltimore. And, I wanted to venture into new areas. I love new technology. I love working with customers. And so, after we exited that company twice, it got acquired, we went public, got acquired again, I decided it was time to set off on my own and start a business. And, I actually found myself starting a business in the sales enablement space, revenue technology, helping salespeople, not what FlowSend does at all today. And through that, through that experience, I decided to start a podcast. I thought a podcast was a really, really powerful marketing tool, like, of course, what you do for a lot of other folks today on the business side, and decided to scrappily start one myself. And, that to me exposed a lot of the issues with creating content. And I knew that podcasts and recorded content in general was really powerful. And in an age of, an increasing amount of muddled content on the internet, it's really important to have a unique perspective. Podcasting is just one way to do that. And what I wanted to do was create a software that would help me to really enable people to maximize that content and create more content from those recordings. Everything I found out there was really generic and produced very AI sounding content. And I didn't really want to live in a world like that. I wanted to live in a world where we could scale ourselves, but do so in a way that stayed authentic. And so FlowSend was born just out of personal necessity, scratching our own itch. I told the team, let's create something for me. We put it out in beta with a bunch of people, and now we're here today.
So we're gonna drill into this, and you danced around it, but I think it's important for you to share with the listeners. What is the biggest problem that you see today for content creators, and how are you solving that problem?
Well, I don't know. The analogy I think about in my head is like there's this wheel coming at any kind of person who's creating content all the time. And I think people even talking about content creators in general. It's not just like a solo YouTuber you watch. Every company in the world has to create content now. It's a critical part of any marketing motion, whether you're an individual or a big firm. And so the biggest challenge is it's always more and more and more. You got to do more, and you got to reach more people. And the internet is becoming harder. You have so many different channels you need to reach people on, and you got to give ways for people to meet you where they are. And so it's hard for creators to build scalable systems that allow them to show up across all those channels, allow them to build authority online, allow them to build SEO, whatever you want to say it's dead or not. You need to find ways for people to find you. And the biggest challenge is mixing that authenticity and personalization that people come to expect from any content they create with actual scale, with actual efficiency, without spending a million hours on every single little piece you do. It's not realistic, and you're going to burn out.
I couldn't agree more. I'm going to give a personal story of this. We organically grew everything that we've created on this specific platform on ThriveLoud. For loyal listeners who were always back there, it used to just be audio. Then it was video, then audio and video, excuse me. And then we needed to tell people about it. We had to create promotional pieces. We created sound bites, and then we had to tell everybody where we were. And you start adding up all of these different pieces, and there were two things that I found. One was you had to do them in all different locations. It wasn't like at one point you could do it. It was like piecemeal from here to here to there. And the next part was it wasn't fast enough because you're as fast as we were growing. So one of the things I know that you were very focused on is giving back time. Can you share with the listeners how FlowSend does that?
And I'll try to put it simply without boring anybody, but what we do fundamentally is we take in your audio and video files. That might be a podcast, that might be a YouTube video, that might be a sales call, that might be a speech or a webinar that you've done. We take that and first we transcribe it. And after we transcribe it, you click a button, and basically we are going to produce an entire suite of content for you in 30 seconds. Let's say you're a podcaster, that's everything from your titles and your show notes to your timestamps to SEO keywords to a YouTube title. Right. And then kind of everything I think about repurposed content. How do you build a blog out of that? Maybe someone wants to stumble upon you through a blog. They don't have time to listen to a full podcast episode. Maybe a social post across different platforms, a tweet, a LinkedIn post. Maybe you want to build a newsletter, build an email list there. And so we basically help people produce that in 30 seconds. And most importantly, we help people do that in their existing brand voice. So to their customizations. Me personally, I love a lot of parts of artificial intelligence, but I don't love a lot of parts of it. I don't love the flattening of the world part of it. It needs to still sound like you. It needs to still come from you at the end of the day, especially if the whole point of this is building authentic content. So that's how we help kind of embed those preferences and help you kind of program the platform in a really easy way so it can do stuff that you want to do.
I'll give a little bit of a tout to FlowSend in a second, but I want to double click down on this. The ability to grab that personal, authentic voice, if you would, from the content creator. How are you able to do that in the AI environment? I agree with you. There's this flattening of the world. What is FlowSend doing to enable that personalization to shine through?
Well, there's a few things. One, we look at your existing content to understand who is this person, who's their audience, and how do they like to talk and express themselves. And we don't train AI or anything like that, or, we don't use any of your data. We want to just allow you to own all of that. But so we look at your content, and then we also can look at your examples. So what are the things you've done in the past? Let's say you've written articles in the past. How can we take a look at those articles and understand how do they like to write? What do they sound like in general? What is the structure they like to use? What kind of words do they like to use and not use? And so we want to basically give you that customizability such that it ultimately comes out with you saying, wow, this system really gets me. And we try to provide that experience for the first login.
For those who haven't had a chance, we will give all the links and all the stuff for you to check this out. But here's what I like. This is my personal thing. As someone who not only has one show, the program you're watching and seeing right here, as Michael mentioned, we have numerous shows that we help to produce and create the content for. The ability to create it in that particular program's own voice and have it specialized that way, and to create all of the stuff that you need. And by the way, you need all these things because you read it, whether it's social posts, the blogs, take the existing, even the transcription alone helps with SEO and all of these different things. I think it's amazing how great it is to keep it as real as possible. From someone how much of an advantage, Michael, was it being a podcaster first and then creating this business and this program? Because I think that is something that I don't think was what happened from a lot of the other people who were trying to play in this space.
Well, if you were to look at the market before that and you were to say, is there opportunity here? You would have never started this unless you're purely just like looking for the bottom feeder mercenary, because anybody else would say this isn't a problem. This isn't enough of a problem. People are fine with anything. They don't have taste. They don't need to sound good. And that's the reality for most folks. And so number one, I'd say how much an advantage? Well, it wouldn't have happened without that. number one, at all. And then number two is a big advantage because I'm really passionate about writing. I love writing. I always have loved writing. I don't have infinite time. I have a very young child, and I can't do everything, but I do have opinions. I got a lot of opinions. And so when I see something that written, whether it sounds like me or not, I have opinions on how good it is or not. And then I have opinions on next level, if it sounds authentic, if it's something I'd be comfortable putting out there. And my opinion was there are more people like me out there. Not everybody, definitely not everybody, but there definitely are people like me who feel their needs are unmet, who want to, whether it's they're producing for someone else and they want to do something premium, whether they're doing it for their company or whether they're doing it for themselves. They want to put out something that really feels like them.
Yeah. I was going to say that I think definitely is seen through your content and through your platform. And I want to say this, I've just as I was about to ask this, I've asked this question to a bunch of content creators and I'll ask it, but I've never realized how important this question is until I've had to ask it to you. What I've always said is that those people that create content, they create a gift for the world to be able to connect to that content, whatever it is, whether it's a podcast, a blog, a program or something, or just a video that is giving something informative. That's the gift that they create in the world. But there's always like a happy accident that comes back in return to the content creator by putting that content out there. So with that, Michael Katz, what is the gift that FlowSend is receiving in return from helping so many other content creators put out the content in the way that they authentically need to, that's giving them back the time that they need? What is the gift?
The gift that we're getting is, well, number one, money. I love that. You got to run a business at the end of the day.
Very true.
You got to run a business. And then number two, I am someone who over time has learned that I really love working with customers and seeing them succeed. It is what drives me in business. Like, I don't think I'm intrinsically passionate about business per se, like some people are. I like competition and I like servicing customers. And the gift we get is seeing people grow. I love seeing people's content grow. I love seeing the different things they do with it and the possibilities they create without us even knowing what was possible. When we see someone make a bunch of money from something they created on FlowSend, that's an incredible feeling to know that we helped enable that.
Awesome. I love asking guests on the program this question. Look, you were thriving in your previous company. You took this entrepreneurial spirit to start your own. You're a proud pop and more to come. And with that means you're thriving on most days. But we all have those days when we're a little off our game, Michael Katz. Michael, when you have trouble thriving, is there a practice you seek or maybe an individual you seek out to help get you back on the thriving track?
Yeah, well, I'd say exercise certainly helps there. Not something I was really great at for a while there post kid, but it's something I'm finding my flow in again. Transcendental meditation is something I started in college and began to learn it. I am certainly not as consistent as I'd like to be, but I would highly recommend any kind of meditation practice to anyone who finds himself filled with many thoughts and concerns like that. And, honestly, spending time with a kid, as tiring as it is, gives me a little bit of perspective about, the world going on and work not being the end all be all.
Yeah, I like that. All right, we're going to do the admin part of the show here first before we go back to the Fun Street part of this episode here. Michael, do me a favor. Share with the listeners all the places people can learn about you, websites, URLs, social handlers, where they can learn about FlowSend. We will put it in the show notes. It gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Yeah, feel free to visit us at flowsend.ai. It's flowsend.ai. And we give free trials and happy to give personal onboarding to folks who want to understand how to maximize what they're doing, regardless of what kind of content that is. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Michael N, as in November, Katz. And that's a place where I hang out a lot, unfortunately or fortunately, being in business. So those are the best places to connect with us.
In the history of dropping a letter in whether alphanumeric or the NATO language, no one has ever said N like November when referring to their name.
I'm a NATO alphabet guy.
Is that what November is again, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there a military background there? I didn't even know. Is there?
No, I memorized. I did flashcards on it one time, and I was like, I need to know all these because I always freeze up on a call with a customer service, being like, "What's the name?"
Listeners need to know he went to a much higher form of education than I did, in wearing orange and black most of the time. He's represented the black here from some school in New Jersey, but that's not important right now. Okay, all right, we're gonna do the Fun Street stroll down on here to ease on to Fun Street, and before we get to the pub crawl, Michael Katz, do you have an all-time favorite movie? One that if it's on, you're looped right back in anytime, any program that's like your go-to.
This is going to sound a bit pretentious, but my favorite movie ever is this movie, Cinema Paradiso.
Oh, it's an amazing movie. Let's keep going.
Yeah, it's one of the best ever. My dad showed it to me when I was like 5, and I cry every time. It's the best.
That's first of all, we may have had it one other guest before, but it is a great movie. It's caps on everything. I remembered it got nominated for something. I don't know if it won anything.
It won Best Foreign Film in 1991, I think.
Yeah, early 90s, right? It was right around that era when everybody was going to the movies. Now it's tough to find. Tough one to find, I bet, if we're trying to find a streaming. All right, we're going to do the Speakeasy Pub Crawl. We're going to stop at all the fun places that matter most to Michael. There are no wrong answers. They're only yours. Here we go. Michael Katz, of late, is there a song that you love to listen to, or maybe one that's your jam?
I've been listening to Nina Simone's cover of the Bob Dylan / the band song "I Shall Be Released." It's really, really good.
Sidebar to the thing: did you get a chance to see the new Bob Dylan movie?
I just told you I have an 18-month-old right now.
I know. Okay, fair enough.
If it's on streaming, I'll see it.
Give it 6 months; it'll probably be there. Yeah. If it wins an award, you'll probably get it. Maybe sooner. Maybe it's on Netflix now. You never know.
I didn't find it.
Favorite food that's not a dessert?
This Korean soup called yukgaejang. Spicy Korean soup. Very amazing.
Favorite dessert?
I'm a huge dessert guy. From the gummy side, I'm a Nerds Clusters guy. I don't know, chocolate cake, a dirt cup, anything.
I could never do the Nerds. They too tangy.
You gotta try the clusters. You got to try the clusters.
All right, I'll have to check these out. I don't think I have the capacity for anything too sweet anymore. An activity you wish you did more of?
Probably like most people. Well, actually, I played tennis in college, and I just started to play once every here and there. I took a 10-year hiatus, and I wish I did more of it.
Okay. An activity you wish you did less of?
Probably like everybody else here. I don't know, screens. Spending less time on screens.
A new activity, one you've recently tried that you like so much you want to tell all the listeners and viewers to try.
I'd have to dredge too deep to think about a new activity I did out of the blue. I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay, fair enough. We understand. He's a relatively new dad. He's dealing with that.
Yeah.
If I could snap my fingers and Michael Katz could be anywhere in the world, where is he?
Park City, Utah.
Park City, Utah. You can't go wrong there. FlowSend.ai, Michael Katz. Everybody go check it out. Seriously, he is helping all of people like myself and
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.